Hello everybody, welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series here for Season 6 playoffs. Yes, we are finally here, round 11 of the season. We're in the very much closing stages now, and this is where it gets properly exciting. We've had the first 10 rounds where we've had some of the best racing we've ever seen in JACKOCAR, and the playoffs always go above and beyond. So, starting in Japan tonight, I am very much looking forward to this one. I'm your commentator Owen White. With me I have got Jacko, and we appear to have all our full-time drivers here as well, so we're going to be in for a very exciting race, I think.
I think it's the third or fourth time this season we've had all the full-timers, which is fantastic to see. The guys in the lobby have only just seen my message to say ready up, but yes, Owen, Japan always delivers. Good to be back here and good to be starting the playoffs again. You are right in the some of the best racing we've ever had. Absolutely spot on with that, and long may it continue for the next 7 weeks. Obviously, we've got that final run in now to the championship in Miami and race 100. Let's see if these drivers can keep it up all the way through to December the 8th.
Oh, it's going to be exciting, isn't it? I cannot wait to see how we get on. And, well, the first order of business, what's the weather? Nice and sunny, which is good to see, because it means we can get a proper run out with all the drivers. And so, if you are new to the JACKOCAR Cup Series and don't know what these playoffs are, well, basically, in the first half of the season, you get your 10 best drivers and your 10 worst drivers. Your 10 best drivers go into a playoff system, where 2 drivers will get knocked out every 2 races until you're left with the final 4. But there's obviously a Championship 5, so where does the 5th come from? Well, the bottom 10 in the Championship get sent into their own separate Championship called the Chase. The champion of that becomes the 5th member of the Championship 5. So over the next 6 weeks, we'll be deciding who those Championship 5 are going to be. And that means every single race, every single lap is crucial to the season.
Every single lap and every single playoff point as well. So, speaking of the chase, Pete Knighton comes into this one on 503 points, which puts him +1 of a head start over the other 9 drivers down there in the chase. As for the playoffs, you've got Jordan, who starts on the default of 1,000 points. Gareth, who only got 1 playoff point, he starts on 1,001, and all the way up to the top with varying intermediate numbers. All the way at the top, you've got Jamie Wright on 1,031, so that's a That's a 30-point head start, and Ben Shaw 1 point behind him. They only need 10 and 11 points respectively to go through to the next round. We've got 3 rounds of playoffs, each filled with 2 races, and then we lose 2 drivers from the playoffs with each playoff round before we get to that Championship 5, Owen.
Indeed. And actually, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how these playoffs get along, because, as I said before, we've had probably the most entertaining regular season, and we had, 8 different winners, didn't we, in the first 10 races so far? So absolutely on a roll with surprise results, surprise winners, surprise entrance into the playoff system. I don't think anyone would have been able to tell you that Tees would have made it last week, but bottom of the championship to the playoffs, it's definitely an exciting time to be in this league and participating. Unless your name is Corey Dalton, because he's having an absolutely miserable time. He is bottom. He is as far down as you can possibly get. But as we have seen in the last week, maybe that's not the worst place to be. Although knowing his track record, maybe it is.
Yeah, Corey coming into tonight with 9 starts this season. Obviously he had 1 ban. But that, in that 9, he had 2 disqualifications, 7 DNFs, and 1 points finish of P12, which he did actually finish on the road P10 before a penalty put him back a couple of spots there. But the magic of JACKOCAR, like you alluded to just now, Owen, anybody can win it. Tez coming from P20 all the way into what is now P7 is where he'll begin his playoffs. Maybe there is a story written in the stars for Corey Dalton as he heads on up towards 130R for the first time this evening. He is no slouch, he just can't finish races, but if he puts it all together, maybe we might just see him in a Championship 5 once again.
This is the thing, I can still see him pulling out a surprise result, and it may end up becoming the running joke of the season. Oh, I'm having faith in Corey, but listen, I told you earlier on in the season, have faith in Tees, and you all laughed at me. and then he went and took the win last week. So we know anyone can do it, and we know Corey has said previous, he is the king of winning from the back. And so back at the championship, to the front of the championship, let's say he can do that as well, as he heads through the first 2 corners here in this fantastic Suzuka circuit, and the S is all the way up the hill. So difficult to get it right on this game because of the reduced traction compared to last year and the reduced downforce in general, but Corey handling it nicely well as he heads up towards the Dunlop curves, and who's that? That's Risky, I think, just moving out of the way in a very dramatic way. And Corey through the Dunlop curve quite nicely and through the deck. This run up through the Dunlop curve is sometimes quite tricky because, again, the traction is so low there, you can just flat out spin off as you head towards the hairpin. I expect a few dive bombs here tonight, and it's weird to see them taking the inside line, because obviously in real life you take the outside line through there because it gives you more grip. As we head now round towards the spoon curve, another place I'm expecting things to happen, of course, where Sebastian Vettel dive bomb that just happened a few years ago and didn't go too well. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see some of the Cup Series drivers giving that a go at some point. As we just see then, all the way up the hill towards 130R, used to be a demanding corner, used to be exciting, isn't really now, is it? It's just a flat out kink. But hey, who knows, if you get on the curve too much you can still lose it. And then the final proper corner, the Casio triangle, and nicely done by Corey. There used to be a bump here on the exit out of the final corner, but now it's a nice easy run to the line, hug the inside line, and it's a 1:29.246 to beat. Good luck.
That's a fantastic lap as well. Corey coming into this race with 1 pole this season. We'll see if it stands. It certainly did when he set that second car out a few races ago. I think it was Belgium, wasn't he? He was on pole. As we move to Connor Byers out in that number 74 purple and black machine, like he always runs, but a silver on there as well nowadays, as he is now on the run up to 130R. Connor, by the way, paid me £100 this morning, leaves him £200 to pay off for the Daytona holiday. That is for the Daytona 500 in February. Very much looking forward to that one. Casio triangle for Connor. Will he get anywhere near that 29.2 set by Corey just now? Up to the line he comes, then the 74 car. It's P2 for now. Next up, Owen, is a Risky racer, Sullivan Lewis.
Yes, Risky, who did his tyres a little bit of damage on his outlap by getting out of Corey's way on the Dunlop Curves entry point by just flat out going off onto the grass. So hopefully it hasn't done his tyres too much damage as he heads around the lap. And, well, I tell you what, I wonder if he's sitting here thinking, I've had my sort of crowning achievement in JACKOCAR outdone last week by Tees. He's now going to find something else to do. He sat in a playoff campaign, or sat in a chase campaign. He nearly got through, didn't he, in the season 3 playoff campaign against all the odds into the Championship 5. Could this be a season where he makes it happen? Because he's got to get his own back on Tees and try and get himself back into the sort of history books in JACKOCAR as he heads round the final corner. Stays on the outside line and ends up 1.8 seconds off the pace. So we've seen 2 drivers get nowhere near Corey's time so far.
Well, Pete Knighton next, Owen. He's already invalidated his lap. Ooh. This is the driver who we mentioned is +1 in the chase, and that is going to set him right towards the back. So not a great start for Pete's post-season campaign. So we may as well shift over to Mike Kelterborn of Germany. In fact, where is he? There he is. P8, the second Degner, and then under the bridge. And up towards that infamous hairpin, the Leroy Jenkins hairpin.
Absolutely. So many moves we've seen happen through there in the past. I really am hoping these guys are going to give us a proper show tonight as NK Bourne heads through. We'll be towards the spoon curve once again. It's such a tricky corner, this one. I imagine we're going to see a few drivers possibly, if not invalidating, spinning during the qualifying session, because it's so tricky on the traction to actually get that right, because if you hit the curbs on the outside it can so easily put you into a spin. Easier to do it on this game than it was in the last game. Quite a lot of the corners are easier to get wrong this year than they were last year, but they're all doing relatively well so far apart from Pete to get themselves through. As round the final corner then comes NK Bourne, and again it's going to be nowhere near Corey's time. The gap between second and third and fourth is super duper close, but Corey is just way clear.
Great lap from Corey once again. We move to Michael Okeke running a Mercedes theme livery this week in honour of a friend from university who suddenly passed away. So great respect there from Michael Can he do it justice though and put it on the front of the grid or anywhere near that? Nobody's been close to Corey yet as we come round the final corner with Michael O'Kk in a 97 car. It's P2 for now. It's as close as anyone's got to Corey, but still 1.1 away.
Yeah, I really do wonder if anyone's going to get close to that time until we maybe get to the final runs. As we see Jess there through the hairpin, I think she was trying to take the more realistic line. But you can see it just don't work on this game. It just spits you out wide. The game doesn't really work properly, unfortunately. That doesn't really surprise anyone, does it? As she heads on up the hill towards the 130R. Still the points leader, isn't she, in the Kia series? So she's having a good run over there. Obviously in the chase campaign here, so she'll get a taste of playoffs and chase this season. As she heads through towards the Casio Triangle, I don't think she's going to get anywhere near Corey's time. Yet another driver who won't be able to match it. In fact, it probably will be the slowest time by some distance thanks to that hairpin. It'll be a good sort of 4 seconds off, unfortunately. Nearly 5 seconds for Jess. So,
and Yori's had a spin! Ooh. I don't know if you quite caught that, but he spun at Dunlop
the hill. Like I say, that traction point's so tricky to get right, and he hasn't. That is a shocker.
He'll be able to finish the lap. He's managed to keep it valid. In fact, Yori's one of those guys fighting Jess for the regular season championship in the Kia series, which goes to Austria next week, the final round over there. But attention will now move to Christian Hataro of Estonia, the number 15 car, who had an amazing opening 4 or 5 rounds, didn't he? And it's just fallen apart for him. But a real threat to win the chase this season.
Well, this is it. That could be a blessing in disguise, but it was a shocking end to his regular season. I'm sure he'll probably say it himself, it just did not go to plan. But it does give him a golden opportunity, I suppose, to maybe go against quote-unquote weaker drivers in the chase. It's always dangerous to say that, because you can end up with someone rocking up and having a fantastic chase campaign, and you're sitting there thinking, there's only one spot I can take here, actually. Maybe I would have been better off in the playoffs, because at least there, you can maybe sneak into one of the 4 spots. But we'll see how SD Max gets on throughout the course of the chase. But I would say he's probably the favourite to win it as of now, as he heads in towards the Casio Triangle chicane. The final, let's say, proper braking zone on this track, and just a simple traction zone out of the final corner. It'll be closer to Corey. It might not be the second fastest time, but it's still not even within a second yet. This is incredible.
Well, we did say it, didn't we? Yeah, I've just seen a car.
Yeah,
it's Yori still
again.
having a crash. Where are we? Ben Harrett next, who saw that Harry Kane goal ruled offside last night. It definitely wasn't offside.
No.
So hopefully he can make amends. Awful decision. But hopefully he can make up for Tottenham's loss by making it his own gain. The points leader in terms of regular season points is Ben Harrett of the 10 chase drivers, but is sat on 501 with only the 1 playoff point. Up to the line he comes. It's P4, still far away from Corey, but we are now into the big boys. And up first is the man who's 7th in the playoff standings, but is 10th with the qualifying order. It's Tez.
Weird not seeing him at the start of a session. Weird seeing him with only 6 minutes to go. That's just how good the last race was for him. Normally, he's the man. He takes us round for the first tour in qualifying. We'll ride on board and describe the track, but no, instead he's going for another pole position this week. And I tell you what, this is a more competitive time. This should at least be on the front row as of now. Whether it can beat Corey or not will remain to be seen. 1 minute 29.246 to beat. I tell you, he'll get close. Will he beat it? Yes, he will. Tease up to the top then. And the first driver to beat Corey's time. The first one to get anywhere near it.
And that is the showing that playoff drivers coming through then. Generally, the faster drivers, these last 10, but not always the case, as we have seen in the past. People like Janel, he won a race from the chase. Nils in the Kia series did it as well, and Jake O'Sullivan, actually, who we're watching now, last season, chase champion, ended up being a JACKOCAR champion of the Cup series in that crazy Saudi Arabia race that we had. He then went on to win Saudi Arabia this season after 3 DNFs. But he is also a very good qualifier, as Jake. I wonder if he can pull a lap together here as we head on up towards 130R once again in the slipstream. This is beautiful for Jake. This is absolutely what you want, and committed as ever through 130R. It's just flat out the way is that car into the Casio triangle then. What sort of time will Jake O'Sullivan provide us? Will it be Tez? Will it split him and Corey? To the line! Jake is only P3, but very, very close to Corey's time. Leroy, what have you got?
Good. Oh, I'm loving the colours on this one, Leroy. This is a very vibrant car. But will it bring some more luck? The man who won in Imola got a podium in Bahrain as well. He's had a decent season so far. I don't think it's as quick as the leading guy, so I suppose he'll be looking at maybe just sticking this in the top 4 at least as he heads out of the final corner. And he'll see his lap end in... yeah, 4th place, so not quite enough to challenge the guys at the front, but enough to get in front of SD Matt, so you won't mind that too much. As we see Jordan coming up next, and...
You'll like this, Owen.
Oh, I will like this. Oh, this is fantastic. This is very interesting. I'm a fan of this.
This is fire, you could say, or as the kids would say these days with their descriptive wording. But to the line comes Jordan in the 93 car. It's only P9, but what a livery to do it in.
And speaking of liveries we like, Kieran back in his colours from last season, the weird and wacky colours that got him to a victory here, of course, in Japan. He's our Joker driver tonight. He loves this place. I know he bottled a win here, but he was still on course to win that race, and so he is possibly our Japan specialist in JACKOCAR, and I'm expecting really to see him at the top of the timing screens by the end of this qualifying session. But I'll tell you what, he's not going to be with that middle sector. I think he'll be looking at that 4th place. He'll be in between Jake and Leroy. That's going to need that's going to need the Joker to work out for him in the race, because I'm sure he's doing this purely to win the race. Others will use the Joker to try and get a top 5 or something, but he needs it to win. And as you can see, only 4th fastest. Not all that far off, but yeah.
Oh, and Jamie Griffiths is out under the bridge at the second Degner.
Oh dear.
I was about to build him up and say that this is the man who's off to the pub after the qualifying, but it looks like he's already been there. We're driving like that.
I know.
So our attention turns then to Gareth Hall. Denied that win at Silverstone with a crash from Kaya. Late on in the race on his Joker, but we don't mention it, Owen. Through the S's comes Gareth Hall then. What can he do tonight? Apparently he was quite good here in VSL last night. I didn't watch it. I was working. Some of us do have lives, you know. Through Dunlop comes Gareth, and another nice looking livery, by the way. What do you think? It is.
I'm liking this livery template. I'm glad people are making good use of it now. And yeah. Give me more of this. Get my colours on there. We'll see how good that looks. Or I'll just make it myself, actually. But someone else can do it first, and I'll praise you for it. As Gareth heads through the middle sector now. And well, as we say, he's yet to win a race in JACKOCAR. No real reasons why. Not that I can think of at the top of my head. So he'll be looking to try and get that first victory, because he got through to the playoffs purely on points. Rather than having to rely on race. But he did it early. He did it before the last race. So there was no pressure on him for a while. And so it'll now be time to really get his head down and see if he can get that first win. He's about a second though off the pace through that middle sector, so he's not going to be on pole for now. But I do hope he'll show up at some point and surprise us, because if he wants to win the championship, he'll need a big performance. As he crosses the line, only 8th fastest.
Right then. And now Casper Klein next. That's a very Aston Martin looking car, isn't it?
We like this. We like this a lot.
However, worth noting, Casper coming into this 3rd place in the regular season, but 20 playoff points, which puts him plus 19 above the cut line in the playoffs. However, he has had to revert to pad and putting medium traction control back on, such as the issue he had with his brake pedal. But he gets out of spoon curve okay. What can he do with the rest of the lap? Who knows? But he has very low expectations of himself, sadly. After such a good season, one of only 3 drivers in all of JACKOCAR to actually win multiple races this season, the other 2 being Jamie Wright and Leroy Hazelhager in the Kia Series on Tuesday night in Austin, Texas. But here comes Casper to the line. It's P9. It's not bad, but it may not be good enough to sustain a playoff charge.
Well, we'll have to see. Hopefully over the next couple of weeks, perhaps he'll be able to get used to the pad a bit more, although the transition from pad to wheel, wheel to pad, it's unbelievably difficult. And so, yeah, he has quite a big task on his hands, but we'll see how he gets on as we move on to Jamie Wright then. And I tell you what, he's not on a very quick lap at all. This is going to be possibly stuck in the mid-pack as well. And that'll be a shocker for him. I don't think he'll be wanting to beat it, but, well, unless he cuts some corners in the final sector, that's where he's going to end up. As he comes to the line, it's not even going to be in the 30s, is it? Oh, just a bite, but only 11th fastest. Really poor there for Jamie Wright. He will not be happy with that in the slightest. Perhaps our regular season champion for the second season running will have a bit of better luck. You can tell he's a regular season champion because he's put the gold back on the car. That's the nice and easy sign, along with obviously the purple and black, which we know him for. As
Did he
heads
tell you
through.
that? That the gold symbolises the regular season championship?
Well, you just sort of assume that's what it means. I mean, he likes a wee ego trip, doesn't he? We all do in this league. You got to get an ego trip over Corey at some point. This is the best way of doing it. Win and show off in his face. But can he get pole position? No.
No.
So Tees, second race in a row, on pole position. Are we seeing the emergence of a superstar?
Well, he's certainly turning up, isn't he? He did all that practice last week to change the course of his season, and now he's looking to dominate and headline the playoffs. It's going to be a worry to people like Cadgeman and Iceman and Kieran, who are behind him on track. Corey, it doesn't matter so much for, of course, because he is in the chase. He's not directly fighting Tez, but Tez is showing up, and those other 9 playoff drivers, they've got somebody to be ever so concerned about, I would say.
Yes, and so a front row of Tees and Corey, 2 of the the most crash-prone drivers on the grid. That could be fireworks into turn 1. Or if we're going off last season, they did manage to crash before turn 1 on a restart, so they could manage it here as well. So definitely keep your eyes on this start, and of course there'll be no formation lap still. So you'll be going straight to the grid, straight to the lights, and straight to the race. As we have our grid confirmed, T's on pole then from Corey, Jake, Iceman, Kieran, Leroy, and remember, sorry, Kieran's on his Joker, Leroy, Matt, OKK, Gareth, Casper, Ben, Jamie, Risky, Jordan, Connor, NK Bourne, Jess, Yuri, Pete, another Jamie, who crashed out under the bridge just below that that Emirates Fly Better sign that you can see down the left hand side. Hopefully he'll stop at that, because he's been crashing quite a lot recently, hasn't he, Jamie? And in the playoffs, you can't afford to keep making the mistakes he's been making over the last 2 or 3 races.
You are right, but the thing that makes me not concerned is Jamie is the in-house playoff merchant. You know, more postseason wins than anybody else. He's on 9. The next closest driver to him is Arnold on 5. So even when Jamie crashes, you just think he's either going to make his way back to the top of that race, or he's going to come back in the next race and win it. It just, you know, he'll be all right. He'll be there in Miami in 7 weeks fighting for a championship yet again. Qualifying time between the leader and second place there was .121, which takes the season collective total up to 1.2 after 11 races. 1.2 seconds, that is.
That's not bad, is it? I mean, compared to what it was a couple of races ago, though. But still, to have one, that's averaging just over a 10th then per quali session. That is still pretty close and competitive.
I think it'll be 1.9 or 0.19, sorry, something like that. I'm no good at maths. But anyway, as the attention turns away from my awful maths and on to the Japanese race here, the opening of the Season 6 Cup Series playoffs. It is stage points at the end of laps 7 and 14. There's one joker in the form of Kieran Spears, and also, should you win the race tonight, you do not get the 5 playoff points as a bonus, because we are in the postseason now. But should it be a playoff driver that wins the race, they will advance to the next round. Owen, it's almost time.
It is almost time. 15 of you here in the chat awaiting the start of the playoffs, and when the 5 red lights go out, we will be underway in Japan. It's Tees from Corey. And boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing. It's a decent start from Tees. He's on the medium compound tyres, look, so Corey should have an advantage, but look, he's under pressure from the guys behind. He's going to have to cover them off quite a lot into turn 1. Side by side, we've got Jake and we've got Ben, our regular season champion, as we see Corey going round. I'd be amazed, and I am amazed, that they've all managed to get away with no damage there. That could have gone so badly wrong, but I tell you what, we've just seen Iceman spin off. Did he pick a puncture up? He was the car involved, and I think that's Ben Harrett as well, who's just got a 10-second time penalty for trying to recover to the track. Nothing he can really do about that. As we see Leroy as well heading down the grid. A lot of stuff happening on this first lap. There's a lot of damage on Leroy's front wing. There could be accidents here. This is going mental as we head side by side, 3 or 4 wide through Dunlop. You do not do this. And Tez has had an accident. He's had a spin at the very least, which means that Jake is our race leader from Kieran, SD Mats, OKK, and Jamie Wright in the top 5 already. Fantastic.
What a start from
and Jamie Griffiths in 6th from the
all the
very
way from
back.
P20. There's an opening lap for you. And massively assisted by the fact that we've lost a lot of big names. Nobody's out of this race yet. Iceman's still struggling around in the second Degner. Is it a punch, or is he just, his tyres are just so hot he can't keep it in a straight line?
It's a bizarre situation. I know he had to avoid Corey. Did he have to scamper off the
Corey
road?
round the outside of Jess at Spoon. What a move that was. By the way, at turn 2 it was actually Jake O'Sullivan who went into the back of Corey, so that'll be under review, I'm sure. But can Corey make up for it?
Here comes OKK, challenging for the podium positions on the first lap. Onto the second lap now. He's made it. So it's Jake, Kieran, OKK, SD Mats, MK Bourne, the top 5. There's a lot of pitters on this first lap. And we do often see this, don't we, in a green flag start, which you don't see all that often, in fairness. And when they get this opportunity to get your first mandatory stop out of the way, it's always good to do it at the start, because it means you've got more potential. As we see, Risky in the wall, that could be a safety car. It is a safety car, and that's exactly, oh, it's a VSC, actually. I was going to say, that's exactly why you pit in these situations, because if you get a safety car... Yeah, well, you can pit under VSC, so it's fine, but this is it. You can pit under these situations, it'll save you time in the long run.
There was no need for that.
There was no need for that. There really was no need for that. He was getting away with that. Of course, he doesn't get to catch up, and yeah, hard tyres.
Hard tyres do go on, so that'll be a long second stint then for Ben. He now desperately needs a safety car, doesn't he, to bring him back into this.
He needs this thing to upgrade, and it isn't upgrading. And I'm wondering if the guys at the front will get a chance to pit as well. I think Kieran will be practically begging we go green again here, because he needs this to be green as long as possible for his Joker strategy to work out. The more drivers that get their first stop underway and out of the way, the worse for him in these sort of neutralised situations, as we do go green. And I tell you what, Jake was not ready. He was not ready, so Kieran is on the back of him now, and we have more yellow flags straight away for Connor. And is that Leroy who he was involved with, and Jess trying to come through as Jake pits, ST Mats pits, Kieran, oh, and Iceman off again. Has he got floor damage or something? This is a horrendous start for the regular season champion. He'll be caught up soon to get lapped, and once you get lapped, that really is day done.
Yeah, I was saying to him actually last season how you can afford one mistake in the playoff races. And if you're using that one mistake up on your first race, you've got to have 5 amazing races to make up for it. He's lucky in the fact that he comes into this with 30 playoff points, but it's just not ideal in the slightest for him. He's got to try and get something from this race, but like I say, safety car really is the only way back in for him at this point.
And even at that point, he is running out of time. One more spin, and I reckon Kieran will be able to catch and pass him, and he's having that spin now. Oh, Ben. Maybe the gold is a curse, because I don't know what exactly has happened. We didn't actually see the second part of his incident. We saw him avoiding Corey, but we just did not see the aftermath to that. And I'm going to have to assume he's picked up some sort of severe floor damage or diffuser damage or something for this to happen. As we see more yellow flags, there's a lot of yellows out there. This time it's for Casper, and he's obviously, like I say, struggling on the pad. And there's another car off as well. It's Pete. So this is a bit like we saw in the Kia Series race, actually, where so many cars are spinning off, but most of them aren't crashing. I think there might be another one off as well, in the shape of Connor, and indeed he was off. And yeah, so many cars have damage or dirt on their cars.
MK Bourne and Tez are fighting on the main straight here. In fact, Tez is all over MK Bourne for the last half a lap. He's going to make an easy move here on the German driver, and through he goes way before turn 1 with the assistance of DRS there. Good move from Tez, recovering off that early spin.
Oh, and into the wall now. This could bring a safety car out for Iceman. What is it? It's full course yellow of some description. He needs it to be safety car, but he's already been lapped. I can't see. It's VSC again. which means all pit stops happening here are perfectly legal. Every single pit stop so far has been legal. And I tell you what, Jamie Wright going to the end of the race on these hard compound tyres, definitely be keeping an eye out for him. And this is disaster for Kieran. This is disaster for him. He really does not need this happening on a day where he just needed it to be a nice, clean race. But you're in JACKOCAR. How often does that happen?
And that's Jamie eyeing up double-figure wins in the postseason. Should it happen, but don't forget, Owen, we are only on lap 3.
Here? We've got more pit stop glitches, as I thought we were done with these. Unfortunately, we just saw Risky hitting about 500 miles an hour through the pit lane exit, which you're not really meant to do. He spawned back in the right place again, but that was a bizarre thing to witness, Codemasters. Come on, lads. And will we get the leaders round to pit then? Kieran, I mean, he can make his Joker stop now. There's nothing stopping him doing that. But he won't do it. Okay, I think it's a no-brainer for him to pit if we stay under those VSC conditions. And Tez, MK Bourne speeding behind him, and I had to take a drive-through penalty. Tees will pit anyway, and MK Bourne will take the penalty, and this will give Kieran a nice gap out front at least, so he can focus on the driving now and just hope that it comes to him later on. And it is only lap 5 of this race, so there's plenty to happen still. But I tell you what, look at this. OKK is going to come out into this race still in 2nd place, or will Jake just about get her? Actually, it'll be quite close between those two, and actually it will be Jake, but still OKK up in 3rd place. How long have we been waiting for him to have the big result? This could be the makings of it as he spins. Oh, not again.
He saved it. Oh no, he didn't, sorry. I was looking at a different car.
This is so unfortunate. Look at this keeps happening to the poor guy. Now he can't get it turned around. Oh, he's going to reverse across the track. Luckily there's no one there. But he was putting himself in a net 2nd place if Kieran's strategy ended up falling through. Oh, okay, he's still in 8th place, now 9th, so it's not the end of the world, but Jamie Wright, who hasn't got any more pit stops to make, as we see another car off the road. Is that Iceman again? As we see Jamie Wright coming through, he's now into 8th place with no stops left to make. You've really got to keep your eye on it, but look at this as Iceman tries to recover. I worry he'll end up taking someone with him at the rate that we're going here.
I know, obviously, we're assuming now he has some sort of underbody or side pod damage, but even so, I've never seen him struggle to drive a car this much. I don't quite understand it. Jamie Wright in prime position to win the race as it stands, but don't forget Kieran does have a nice gap to Jamie, so I think there'll be a fight at the end without any safety car interferences. Jake O'Sullivan sets the fastest lap of the race, but what is going on with Iceman? Should he finish in last though, he knows that 1 point you pick up is valuable.
Well, he's just unlapped himself against Risky. He's had a spin at the hairpin, but I'm just riding on board him. Let's just see what it's like to drive from his perspective. As it's, into the fast corners, you can see he's cruising round. He's got no confidence in his machinery. And we see when he gets to the S's, he always ends up facing backwards. It's an absolutely... it's a completely uncharacteristic driving style for this two-time regular season champion. And well, look at it, he can't even take 130R flat.
I was gonna say, he's lifting off through there, and he just, it's not a good look, is it?
Will he be into
Jamie, by the way?
No, he'll keep going.
Kieran's not too far behind, he's less than the sector behind. We've got more yellow flags, and there's Connor in the wall at 130R.
Hasn't broken the front wing too badly, so won't need a safety car. And I'll tell you what, he'll be glad he's still in the race, going off there of all places. But who was that? Was that Kieran actually coming through? That could have gone quite badly. But luckily, it's all gone well, and Connor it appears to be giving up. And let's see then. So there's more moves happening. And keep my eye on Jamie Griffiths, because he's yet to make his second stop. No, he isn't, sorry. No, he's made his second stop. So it's Jamie 1, Jamie 2 on pit stops here. And getting past NK Bourne is a crucial thing for Jamie Griffiths, because you know what? From last on the grid, we have seen it happen before. Plenty of times we've seen JACKOCAR races won from there. And both him and the other Jamie are on the hard compound tyres to the end of the race. And we've seen as well this season winners on those hard compound tyres, but you can see in these early stages how the driver on the softer tyre can keep up and can fight back in the shape of MK Bourne, but he had a slide for the Casio Triangle and that ended the hopes of getting past him again for now. But certainly these two in a strong position for later on in this race. This is going to be very hard to predict though, because why is teasing for a third time, I wonder? Has he broken the car? Yes, he has.
What a shame for Tease. Perhaps it's not going to be that magical story we expected. Two on the bounce.
Soft as well. That's not what you want to be on right now.
So that's going to be another stop at some point then. By the way, OKK is back up into 6th. I don't know if we had some issues there. I think Yuri possibly... Oh no, Yuri's ahead of him. So yeah, he's made up 2 positions as OKK whilst we were watching Connor and Iceman with their troubles. But Jamie Wright in 2 laps has taken 2 seconds out of Kieran.
The thing is though, Kieran's going to be so much quicker towards the end of this race, you would have thought. And so this is it. The thing is though now, as we just get a yellow flag for Casper, if we get a safety car, that wrecks everything now for Kieran. So he really does need there not to be a safety car, but this is such a tricky position. In fact, Kieran, the next car up here for Casper to avoid, and he really don't want to be getting in his way. And luckily they all get through okay. But Connor has retired, that appears to be in the pit lane, but there's another yellow flag elsewhere. And I'm not entirely sure what's happened here, because there's a car going very slowly up the hill. Is it Tees again? Who is it?
It's not
Tees.
Tees.
They're pulling off the road. I can't tell who it is. It's not Connor, is it? Did Connor just retire by going into the pits? I think that's what's happened there. That's well, Stuart will be interested in that one, I think.
Connor messaging me what he thinks of the game. I can't repeat that.
Well. Oh, MK Bourne on the inside of Jamie Griffiths into the S's. That is a brave move, but this is still going on. He's putting so much pressure onto Jamie Griffiths. He's doing a great job to hold him behind, let us say. The faster, softer tyres for MK Bourne clearly giving him an advantage as he gets all over the curb on the way up through the Dunlop curves. And Hines onto the back of Jamie Griffiths through the Douglas as well. This is fantastic stuff, because Jamie, you can see him. The rear end that's been so tricky for him in the last couple of weeks, proving difficult once again, as down the inside of the hairpin, MK Bourne gets himself in front, but will we see a switch through? Yes, we will. Fantastic. As they go side by side in towards the spoon curve, and I tell you what, MK Bourne's going to pull alongside once again. This is terrific stuff. And who's going to come out on top here? We've seen this go wrong so many times before, and they're both going to go off. Oh, what a shame. And they're blocking the track as well. They've really got to be careful, and they've done a good job to avoid everyone.
Nearly.
Wow. That was close.
You know what, Owen, with the amount that's going on here, I've never seen so many spins in a race, by the way. Kieran's got to be thinking it might be worth binning off your strategy and just coming into the pit at the next opportunity.
Just
get the hard tyres on. And then, like, should there be a safety car, you've then got a 5-car advantage over Jamie Wright, seeing as Jamie Griffiths is now out of this one, for the moment at least.
Well, he's
still
not lost.
With MK Bourne on track.
Yeah, they haven't got any damage. They literally have just sort of bumped into each other and drifted round the corner. Unfortunately, they couldn't save it. But it was terrific racing, and in fairness, it was a good overtake at the end, I suppose, from MK Bourne's point of view. He got ahead of his man. Doesn't really matter how you do it. They kept it on the road, for the most part.
See, there's a train here. Jess holding up Leroy and Gareth, by the way, through the S's.
Oh yes, this is not somebody who want to get held up. And you can see Leroy looking to spy a gap here, perhaps. We've seen George Russell in the real-life race round here in the wet, finding some great positions to overtake up the hill, and Leroy's going to take the safer option and just do it on the way through the Dunlop curve.
Gareth to the outside as well.
Gareth is also going to follow him through. That's a risky one to do, but he's made it work. Nicely done.
Yep, Jess backed out of that one for him to make his life slightly easier.
No.
So what's happening now?
I'm seeing Jamie Wright is nearly in DRS of OKK, and he's blown all his DRS to do it. So will he be able to get in, or is he just going to fall out? So perhaps this isn't working out quite as well for Jamie. Of course, he was so much slower than the rest of the field in qualifying, so we know he's not the Jamie Wright that we tend to see, where he's rapid everywhere, because he can't keep up with OKK at the minute, and he's out of DRS as well.
And don't forget, OKK Actually set a really quick lap in qualifying. Really, really good lap. He's been unfortunate with that spin, but a top 5 is definitely deserving of the lap he's set, as we have 17 to go here in Japan. Still a long way.
I know.
And we're still waiting for the leader to pit. A few mandatory strategies to be completed as well. Jake, Yuri, Pete, OKK himself, Jordan, MK Bourne, Jess have all got to pit again, and of course race leader Kieran to make his 1 stop. But no safety cars as yet.
Yeah, 2 slots taken up by VSCs as well. So that could play a factor later on, although as we tend to see in JACKOCAR races, they always wait until the second half for it all to properly kick off. And if it's been a chaotic first half, then yeah, you're going to want to stick around for the end of this one, because the strategies are fascinating so far. As we see to the speed drivers of Yuri and Pete, this is the closest fight on track at the moment for 3rd place on the road. Pete's having a good run at this at the moment. On the faster tyres, they have to make 1 more stop, all of these top 5. And then Jordan, NK, Bourne and Jess as well. Now after that, the pit stops are done really. And this is why I'm looking forward to potential safety cars later on, because it means people will do a lot on the strategy just to pick some new softs on. As we do see Pete coming through. Should be an easy move. I don't think the speed drivers are interested in running into each other. They just want to get their strategies done and then sort of, see how the safety cars fall for them. This will be fascinating stuff, as we've got a lot of fights still going on out there. We've got MK Bourne now challenging Jordan. He's pulled away from Jamie quite nicely, and the closing speed on Jordan in towards turn 1 is fantastic, so I'm expecting to see that fight materialising in the next few laps.
Yeah, I was just looking actually. Pete Knighton, leader of the chase drivers, but Corey is Christian Hotaro, P7, is the lead chase driver with a completed strategy. So that is one to keep your eye on. OKK and Yuri up there as well. In fact, the top 10 is filled with more chase drivers than it is playoff drivers, as we look at MK Bourne right on the gearbox of Jordan as we go under the bridge and up to the hairpin.
Jake,
will he make a diving move here? Jake does pit.
Will obviously stay in 2nd place with this, so what this is going to do is it's going to properly cover him if the safety car comes out. This would guarantee him the race lead.
Sensible, isn't it? Absolutely sensible.
It's the absolute right thing to do. When you've got a race where you're this far in front of the car or behind, just get yourself pit stops finished. If you want to pit later on under a safety car, it won't cost you anything now. As he comes back out into the race in 2nd place, that'll also give Kieran a free chance to pit with a 38-second lead. I'd be taking that if I were him.
Yeah, he's stupid if he doesn't. So how about we stay on board with Kieran and see what he does at the end of this lap. He is on his 10th lap in a row that he's leading.
Does he want to get the playoff points? Is that the problem? He might stick around for those.
But he would get it anyway. I think pitting now is more valuable.
That's a good point, yeah. Oh,
here we go.
Yellow flags.
Oh. Pitting now is more valuable at a stage point.
Around.
What drivers need to think about is it's not the regular season anymore. A win is more valuable.
Yeah, do you know what as well? He has a 39-second lead. So, as you say, he'll keep the lead anyway, actually, won't he? So there's nothing stopping him.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well done. He heard us. But that is absolutely the right thing to do. Because you keep pushing your luck, staying out an extra lap. You're going to come unstuck and you're going to lose the race on strategy, something that you could have covered off quite easily.
Yeah.
Still have it was a 16-second lead he had over Jake before Jake pitted, so we'll see what it is once the timing sorts itself out. Yuri's still in the DRS of Pete, by the way, but Kieran comes out the pit lane and heads on up to turn 1. Jake is just about entering the Casio triangle, so good stuff there from Kieran. Well, that's Joker done. You've got to stick with it now, and you will get 5 bonus playoff points for a Joker win, don't forget. You just don't get them for a race win on its own. 20 seconds, 19-17, so yeah, the gap is pretty much exactly the same. Yellow flags, risky racer.
Wow, look at this fight, by the way, as well, between Tease and Leroy. It looked like Tease is going right around the outside into the spoon curve. Now, I know he's got the quicker tyres on the car, but that was still fantastic stuff. As risky, as you say, had a spin at the hairpin. Not the first time he's been off there today. He's really struggling with that traction zone. And unfortunately, Jordan's into the pits before MK Bourne can give us a bit of action on the main straight.
Tease down the inside of Gareth! That was ambitious. He lost the rear trying to keep the car in a straight line. Gareth unaffected by it, but T's maybe a little bit too late that one.
Yeah, he's looking at safety car, isn't he, Tees? Because with what he's doing right now, he'll have to pit again later on for yet more tyres. And yeah, we know he has the pace. He was on pole position. And yeah, that front row really haven't had the best run of it so far. I think they could all really do with a safety car, apart from Kieran, to be honest. But where's it going to come from? We've only lost one driver from this race so far, and that wasn't even from an accident. He just seemingly gave up. As we see Tees side by side then. Is he going to do what Gareth did to Jess? Back to him. Yes, he is. Running outside of Degler 1. Nicely done. Oh, and a nice wee wiggle on the exit as well, just for good measure.
And this is one of those days, though, and you look at the bottom two, Casper and Ben. You're not going to get days like this. You've got to take advantage.
Ooh, risky. Where's he ended up? Tricky spot to recover from this. Through the Dunlop curves. It's almost unsighted when you come up through here. There's been a car off, and I tell you what, when you've got Iceman as well as just struggling, you don't want these two next to each other when they're both struggling to keep the cars in a straight line. And I tell you what, he'll get blue flags now, won't he? Ben, unfortunately. He's a minute and 10 seconds behind the nearest car, which is Casper. And so risky, he'll have to be let back through, and that's exactly what happens, unfortunately. These must be some of the biggest gaps I've ever seen in a JACKOCAR race, by the way. These guys really have spread out all the various problems.
It will close up, though, you know it will. As Kieran laps another car, it's Jess this time.
Oh dear! NK Bourne, Jamie and Pete were all with each other, and NK Bourne seems to have come off the worst. But again, no damage as they spin through there, so that is so lucky. So lucky.
Yeah, by the way, Kieran going through 130R now, leading this lap will give him the second stage of the night. He got the first one. He will also secure most laps led as well in a couple of laps' time, as he leads his 13th lap of the evening. That's 2 more playoff points.
Oh dear, and Pete loses the back end while fighting with Jamie Griffiths. They're struggling so much, but they're not hitting anything.
We've got to have a safety car from somewhere, haven't we? It's coming.
It has to come
from
somewhere.
It's very... what was the Championship 5 race we had where it was just building and building and building? We eventually got the safety car and then it just unfolded from there. It might have been Brazil.
Could well have been Brazil.
2. That was lap 18, risky that day at turn 4.
Such a small accident it was that day, but it was enough. And there's Iceman. Iceman has gone off. You can see where he is, and that will be, this time, a full safety car. So, I guess, ignore that. And that.
And that as well?
And that as well, yeah. And they call me the loud, obnoxious ones. Anyway, this gives these guys a chance to pick, because Kieran can make another free pit stop here if he wants. Stick some mediums on perhaps, maybe even a set of softs, get to the end. So how many will pit, how many will stay out? With the field being so spread out, I think this safety car will be easy to deal with, but if they get another one after that, that's where we get the interesting questions. But I expect to see pretty much the whole field, although there's accidents happening behind safety car. On the way into the pits, T's into the back of MK Bourne, I'm guessing that's what's happened.
I think that's what happened. I was looking away.
Although they're both on the exit now of the pits, so that would suggest that might be another game issue, I want to guess. Maybe we'll find out on that one. Because the timing of that penalty popping up is a bit odd. And yeah, let's see if Kieran pits. No, he stays out, Jacko. I suppose he doesn't want to lose out on the Joker, but he could lose out on the win. As you say, the win's more important, and if Jake pits here, he gets a free stop for some softs if he wants them.
The thing is as well...
Oh, he stays out too?
Yeah, of course he does, because they've only got one set of mediums, so softs would just about make it to the end, but they'd be in a bit of an awful state. And they've only really just recently pitted onto the hard, so I absolutely back the decision of the leaders. Yori will pit, however. He has only done only one mandatory.
I suppose he can put softs on though, and just pit for more softs later on, I guess. Jamie right into the pits, that makes sense, because he pitted so early off his mediums, he can just stick them back on again, I would have thought.
Jamie Wright is the most non-mandatory stops this season.
And let's see, what colour is that? Yeah, it's going to be, there's a 1 lap old medium combine tyre, so he will not mind that in the slightest. Corey will have the same luxury, I guess. as well a few others. So this restart will be interesting. With Jamie Wright will be in 5th place for this thing on really quite good tyres, and Yuri, I'm sure he'll fancy a run at the leaders with those fresh softs. But I wonder if Jake will see that Yuri on the sauce and think, do you know what? Shall I go for it? I've still got a 33-second gap. I might just have another chance to pit. Maybe take it this time. Because he's not.
Remember last season, Kieran was on his Joker and pitted under safety car. And
Yes.
he won the race, but through the Joker. But he ended up going to Saudi Arabia anyway, so it didn't really matter.
That's what we say though. You can do that though because you're in the playoffs. A win is so valuable now.
Last season, that decision makes sense. This season, he's done what we thought was right last season. And I just think the same again. I think Kieran will go on and win this race. There was absolutely no need to pit, and he didn't. Let's see him back his decision, improve on his errors from last season, and make this the near on perfect race.
Will Jake be tempted? No, he won't. He will not be tempted. Even though the field is nowhere near packed up, we can have another 2 laps of this Jacko. You know, I would have taken the risk if I was Jake. What are you going to lose? I mean, Tease was doing fine on the 8-lap old tyres, wasn't he? So, I mean, Jake's wouldn't have been that much worse on low fuel as well. So, I don't know. I think Jake's making a mistake here by doing this. I really do.
The other thing we've got to look at is going to be a lot of drivers in this train.
Yeah.
That will need to get out of the way. So, Owen, non-mandatory pitters under this safety car: Ben Harrott, MK Bourne, Tez, Gareth, Leroy, Yori, Jamie Wright, Jamie Griffiths, Christian Hatara, and Corey Dalton.
Yeah, we'll see how this all pans out. I'm interested in seeing how Corey and the 2 Jamies and SD Mats and those lot get on, because they'll be right back into this race now. They're all done their mandatories. They're all on better, softer tyres than Kieran. So yeah, will they be able to get themselves into this one? And obviously the likes of OKK, and did Pete get his mandatory in? I think he did, didn't he, before the safety car came out?
Yeah, he did.
So, you know, these guys back in the running, and of course Jamie Wright's the big one up there in that 4th position to try and get by Yuri as quick as possible, who will also be chasing those top 2. So it'll be a proper onslaught potentially on the race leaders here. It's a shame that Jess has parked herself in between this, but I think she knows the rules. You'd hope she'd know the rules.
Yeah, Jess knows the rules. She'll get out of the way. Casper is actually letting cars through by going off the track.
Yes.
Which
We've seen
nothing
this
against
before.
that in the rules. Yeah, absolutely
before.
fine. If it saves you a pit stop and being 20 seconds behind after a restart, then absolutely by all means do it.
Spoils his paint job though. But that's the only that's the only issue with it. Oh, risky.
Oh.
Under safety car. Once again, that Dunlop curve. He does not like it, does he?
Just not nowhere near anyone as well. He's just lost it by himself. I wonder if he had damage from earlier on in the race. Casper goes off the track again.
Why is Jess not pitting actually? I mean, she might as well just pit out of the way. Because she's gonna have to. Because she'll have to do that anyway. And what? She'll lose a position to Casper. Big deal. Sort of make the restart a bit easier for everyone now. But I guess she's not really going to do that.
Well, she won't interfere with the restart, but
she will though. It interferes, especially with Casper pitting. It's a car between 1st and 2nd place. That's a guaranteed interference, regardless. Because no matter what you do, you just can't get as close when you got a car in between. And so it does sort of spoil us at the front, unfortunately.
We shall see when the cars come around again, because I imagine safety car in this lap. Only imagine that. It's not confirmed yet.
Yeah, I would have thought.
Casper adding to the list of non-mandatory stoppers.
Yeah, only had hards to go back to, but at least he pitted himself out of the way. I prefer the drivers when they do that. But also, there's nothing telling you have to do that under safety car. But of course, when it goes in, you're going to have to move anyway. So that sort of feels like the thing you should be doing. But hey, oh well. Not everyone's perfect, I suppose.
I do believe, other than Jess, we are now all in order.
Yes.
So it's what the race needed, I think.
Yeah, it was getting to the point where I was looking a bit set in stone the results, and so we like a wee shake up in the tyres, and then I think though we're looking at a Kieran who isn't going to crack under the pressure. I think if we were looking at Kieran this time last season, he might have done, but obviously he's got 3 wins under his belt now, so this sort of situation shouldn't faze him as much as it would have done previously. So he's quite good in the playoffs as well, of course, getting into, well, he's in chase and playoffs. He can do it all, this kid. So we know he's good in this stage of the season, but that safety car is still got its lights on, Jacko. It needs to hurry up and turn them off, I think.
It may well go at Oh, there you go. Never mind.
There you go. Right.
It's going to go right there, Owen.
So
I'm leave this to you.
Restart zone quickly. DRS activation, is it again?
It's where the red tyre barrier splits the pit lane and the track. It will be on Kieran's right as you come through the final corner. Rightio,
we'll ride on board then. We'll watch his throttle trace. Always fun to watch this when we see his restart. Should be pretty simple, but this is the one place we've seen recently in JACKOCAR where big payouts happen, and Kieran has got away so nicely. And you can see, look, there's a slightly bigger gap to Jake because of Jess's car being there. That's my point I was trying to make. He wouldn't have gone for him anyway, I don't think, into turn 1, but he'll now be looking behind him because he's going to have Yuri properly going for this on these much better tyres, as a few more fights go on in the midfield. These are all so important. These are drivers who are on better tyres than the race leaders, and if they want to win this race today, they've got to make these moves properly. And Jamie Griffiths is having a fantastic run up the hill, and Corey's going to follow him through as well, fighting away with SD Mats, and side by side up the hill they continue. Corey and SD Mats, fantastic stuff.
What a save.
But Corey had to properly catch the car there, and now he has to look behind him and see Ben Spurs climbing all over him as he aggressively takes those Degnas.
So I'm just enjoying the restart. Here goes Jamie Griffiths on the inside of Jordan at the hairpin. What a move that'll be if he can get it done. But Jordan's going to have the exit there on the outside, and Jamie Griffiths will have to look for another way around as they as OKK becomes isolated from the top 5. Will he become a... Oh, will Jordan see him as a threat?
This is a properly good opportunity here for Jake to take the lead. He can see that Yuri's behind him, so he's got to move forward. And the only way he can do that is by properly attacking Kieran. And here we go, through 130R. And is he going to go on the outside of the Casio triangle? This is brave, but he doesn't make it stick. Will he try and get a switch back on the exit? No DRS until lap 21. So we're going to have to sit here and wait a while as we have Ben Spurs off. There could be a safety car for that, but I don't think anyone's hit anything, as Jake just sits back. He doesn't want to go for anything too rash just yet, but he seems comfortable behind Kieran. He had the pace on him earlier on. Will he be able to challenge for this win?
Well, Jake, as we know, 2 JACKOCAR race wins, both of them in Saudi Arabia, so he has to prove that he can do it on other tracks, and Japan would be one of those tracks, so it'd be a very good win. It's one of those dual races, isn't it? Everyone likes to win around Japan. What a track it is. But he's staying with Kieran. He's going to keep the pressure on him.
Oh, there's been an accident, by the way, for Ben. He's got front mind damage, and for Leroy, who's gone straight into the back of him. So there's a bit of drama for some playoff drivers down at the back. A lot of them having a tricky day out there. So this is a day for good results if you are chase drivers. So keep an eye on some of them, because there are a few who are looking relatively decent out there. But Kieran still holding on to that race lead. Only 8 laps to go, including the one that we're on at the moment. And one more accident out there, and we really will be looking at some interesting pit strategies towards the end. And DRS will be enabled on the next lap. Will Jake go for the move now, or will he go for it then? He can't really make his mind up. He'll have to wait a whole another lap if DRS gets involved, and he backs off through 130R, which would suggest he's gonna hold fire. He's making us wait for this one, Jacko.
Yeah, I've stopped commentating. I'm watching this one. I'm intrigued to see how Jake does it. I don't think it's going to be this lap. He's just too far back. He needs the exit out of Casio to really launch one down the inside here at turn 1. Kieran seems to have it covered everywhere else, doesn't he?
By the way,
maybe the run up to Casio was also a good chance.
I know he's got a penalty, but we're seeing Tees doing what he did in Austria and carving through the field on those soft compound tyres. He's having a great run. He was right at the back of the field earlier on, remember, after his spin at the start of the race, but he is on a very nice run at the moment, so keep an eye on him. He may well get involved later on, because he's not a million miles away from those podium positions, and every point counts when you're sat in the playoffs. He's currently 7th in there, so he needs to certainly be keeping his eye on everyone else and getting some good points on the board. So plenty to be looking for, as Yori is starting to fall back a little bit. Although the DRS train will still hold as Jamie Griffiths.
Oh, Pete spun at the hairpin. What a shame.
Second time he's done that in this race, I believe. And Jordan and Jamie are still fighting, and Tease is all over the back of both of them. Oh, where's he going to fit in all this? He's trying to cut through on the inside.
What a move.
Fantastic stuff. Now, can he get himself on the back of Jamie Griffiths? He's absolutely still in this race. Do not count Tease out, because he's absolutely flying, Jacko.
And here
on the
comes
inside.
Jake as well.
Oh my goodness me. How on earth have those two not come to grief? I have no idea. And they're still side by side in the Casio Triangle. This is terrific stuff, as they nearly bind wheels through there. But we've got to have a quick look at the race leaders. Are we going to see Jake go for the lead?
From Tease. He almost lost it there.
As Jake, does he go for the race lead? He's really making his way for this one. We want to watch Tease, not you at the minute, because here he goes into 5th place round the outside in turn 1. He is giving us a terrific showing here. And he still has 6 laps to go. High will he fly?
Oh man, as you cut away, Tease lost it on the exit in the final corner. He was drifting round there, drifting his way to Tokyo behind Jamie Griffiths, saved it, and then still got the move done into turn 1. What a drive so far from Tez. Where's this Tez been all season, by the way? I know he won in Austria.
Here we go.
I was starting to think it was all a bit of a show. And here goes Jake.
Oh, is he just going to have us on strings, man?
He's a little tease, isn't he? Maybe he's waiting last lap, last corner. True JACKOCAR style, that would be. Yori has made his 2nd mandatory stop, by the way. He's come out P12 behind Pete Knighton. But is J-Luke too far away to be in this fight? Maybe if the top 2 start battling, we might have a chance.
We saw earlier his pace just wasn't there with the top guys, was it? We know Tease is. And so if he can get himself moving, he will probably be targeting that 3rd place. But look at this view from Kieran. He must be sat with his rear view mirror on all the time, just looking back and seeing the red and green car just not disappearing from his mirrors. And he's using all he has left of his ERS to try and defend, but on the main straight, Jake will close up once again. I think he's going to go for the move this time. Kieran jinks out to the inside just a little bit, but it's not enough to put his man off, as we see Jake taking the lead with 5 to go here in Japan. I think he's going to pull away, to be honest with you, Jacko. This should be a 3rd Cup Series victory for our reigning champion. What a way to start the playoffs this would be.
Yeah, he has been the faster driver since the restart as well. I think his pace was masked by the fact that Kieran only had to make the 1 stop, and that 16-second gap that we were looking at before the safety car come out. But now the gap is almost 7/10 of a second as we head through Deckner 2 and under the bridge. Leroy and Yori, 2 brothers. It's Yori who spun by himself, I would guess, looking at that.
Yep.
But back to the front, it's nearly 8 and nearly 9/10 now. Jake is pulling away from Kieran. Does he have an answer? By the way, on this lap, they've both dropped J-Luke by a second.
Yeah, I'm watching him. Look at his train. 3rd place to 9th place. They are all in this sort of train. This is going to keep closing up, because I think Jamie is really struggling out here. And OKK on those hard compound tyres as well will be getting reeled in. All these guys on the mediums. This will be a fascinating scrap. And OKK, I keep saying it, without that spin earlier on, he could have been so much higher, but he could still get a really good result here today if he can get himself past Jamie. As we have more yellow flags, I think that's for potentially Jess.
Jess spun at Deckner.
And look at Tease round the outside into the Casio Triangle. Can he make it stick? You bet he can. Up into the top 4 now. Brilliant stuff.
Perfect amount of aggression there from Tez. OKK won't like it, but there was nothing wrong with that. Can he hunt down J-Luke and then find 3 seconds? He's already found J-Luke, and before turn 1, what a move from Tez. Now go find that 3 seconds, get yourself on the podium. I feel like the win might be gone, but he is faster than Jamie. He can make something of this race and certainly make something of this playoffs.
Well, let's see. Surely he'll make that 3-second gap. The tyres should last long enough for that, but he should still be comfortably quicker than the race leaders. And if Kieran starts to properly fall off, then he could still fight for that 2nd place, but I'd be surprised if he makes it, in all honesty. But he's got to pull away from Jamie first, and I think Jamie's going to be more interested in looking behind him, to be honest with you, because there's still a few cars in there that will be really aggressive in these last few laps against a guy that clearly has been struggling and doing a great job to stay up this high based on how his qualifying was. But he's, you know what, staying He's staying nicely up towards T's. He's got good amount of ERS as well. Do you know, we should never underrate Jamie. I wonder if he's actually been a bit tactical here, because he'll be able to control the pace in these next couple of laps as long as he stays within the DRS.
I just wonder if he can do it. He is... this isn't the DRS zone, is it? I always thought there was a DRS zone here, but there isn't.
There really should be, shouldn't there? I know you don't want to take it through 130R, but you can always just turn it off. Mind you, some people used to take it flat out through 130R with DRS, so maybe F1 should look into that for one day again. But let's see, can Jamie then close up, because he's got all the ERS he could possibly need to close up, but it's, well, he's not using it just yet. Not using it just yet. And he knows he just has to save in 3 seconds anyway, doesn't he? So he doesn't have to make the overtake. The thing for Teasy, he'll probably fall down to about 6th place again, based on all this. What this means then for the chase situation, does this make OKK our highest chase runner? He'll finish 4th place.
He'll be 2 points ahead of Esty there, won't he? Let me confirm, I'll come back to you.
I believe he'll be ahead of Esty Mats by 1 point based on that then.
Esty Mats, yeah, so OKK is actually 1 point behind Esty, so yeah, 1 point clear he would be if OKK can finish there. That would be his second top 5 of the season. Of course, don't forget, it's a man who could have won in Silverstone. In fact, the guy behind him is the man who did with that last lap battle that they had, Jamie Griffiths.
And I tell you what,
he started P20 by the way. What a recovery!
Jamie was pushing him through the corner almost. Are those soft compound tyres starting to fall off? Could we see another twist in the seal? Because I tell you what, Tease is super aggressive, and all the fighting going on in this train. Will we see fireworks? There's very much a big potential for that. Only 2 laps to go though, so they're going to have to sort themselves out quickly.
Yep. To be fair, for Kieran, he's earned 3 playoff points tonight. Of course, you get another 1 for being on the podium. He'll walk away with 19 points to his total, so it'll almost be a win, but he won't advance to the next round just yet. Jake will, should he finish in P1. And here goes Jamie looking at the inside of Tez, who almost spins and recovers it up quickly.
This is where we need to see a Tez that doesn't spin off under pressure like we've seen before. And what a move! Wow! Oh, he's hit Jamie! Oh no! I'd call that just a racing incident, to be brutally honest with you, but there's more! As OKK gets shoved off by Jamie. A bit of deja vu for him there. But he'll stay in that 5th place. He'll fall actually down. And ST Matson, he'll take the chase lead as a result of all this. And will there be any more with those tyres being wrecked? At a puncture for Corey. Oh, disaster for him. He'll fall right down. And that's a rear puncture as well. And the tyre's completely delaminated, Jack, as that is going to be.
Hang on, look at Gareth stuck in the middle of the deck corners. He can't move.
Oh, he's stuck in the ground. He's got a double puncture. So a front wing is going to miss here for somebody in all this. And Gareth is beached and out of this race. But the problem is, he can't retire on track because he'll get a penalty, so he'll be disqualified.
He's disqualified anyway.
That car, well, is there another puncture? There is. Tease has a puncture as well. So it's all going up. Oh, he's going to crash as well. And he's going to take out ST Mats. He ghosted, luckily. But it's all going up here. Is there more debris on the track? And will these front 2 be looking at all this? Because they've got 1 more lap to get round. And with how chaotic this has been so far, this is not over yet.
Not at all. Jake has extended his lead to 2 seconds, but it's 1 to go here in Suzuka. But there's so much debris on the track in this first couple of sectors.
It's like
Can he nurse it home? It is like it. I remember that one.
It all kicks off on the final lap. What is Jake going to see when he gets into this Degness then? Is there going to be debris from there? Because 3 cars had a puncture. I could imagine T's was potentially just through wear. But apart from that, and Corey's still out there, by the way. You have to go so slowly to get back. I don't think leaders will catch him by that point, but that is a completely ruined rear left tyre. And you know what? He's done brilliantly. He's done brilliantly to get back at this, but because this is not easy to drive by any means. And he's nearly getting taken out by Ben. He's got to be careful. That 3-second time penalty. You know what? It's almost worth it just to get to the checker flag at this point, which is what Jake is successfully managing to do as of now. I don't see any issues on the tyres. He may well be okay, but you'd always be a bit nervous based on how this all went. He's emptied his ERS. He has put his foot down on this final lap. And when he comes out of the final corner, the king of Saudi Arabia is going to move further afield and take his first win in Japan. And the first win in the playoffs is Jake, who wins in Japan. And Kieran comes home in second place. He'll take that, I think. It's not exactly the win he was looking for, but a very strong start to his playoffs. And we'll see Jamie Griffiths take home third place, coming through the chaos in the end to take a well-earned podium from P20 on the grid.
Esty Mats will lead the chase as well. Maybe his season is starting to turn back around. J-Luke 6th, OKK 7th, what a shame.
Jordan 5th, you know, Jordan 5th, that's gone under the radar a little bit. That's a fantastic result for him.
A very quiet race, didn't he? Didn't do a lot. I think he got overtaken once, that's all we saw of him.
P10 in the playoffs coming in, and he'll get very handy points against the likes of Tees and against Gareth, who didn't even finish. Jamie Griffiths as well sat there in 8th place. This is really strong results for both of these guys in these early stages. They'll be loving this. And of course Jake, of course, the winner as well. We're seeing the big points being scored by guys who aren't necessarily at the top, apart from Kieran, in fairness. But yeah, this is a proper good day for shaking this up.
Yeah, with Jamie, Ben and Casper all having nightmare days as well. Not only does it give the lower guys a chance to score good points, it closes the gap between the whole bunch of playoff drivers. So now everybody has to perform for the next 5 races before Miami.
Yeah. And this is it. The races will start to come down so quickly. You won't believe how quickly we end up in Miami. And by the way, there's a graveyard of cars on this main straight. So they've given us a wee homage to last season's major pile-up there. So we respect that. We respect that. But yes, well, I mean, where do we even start with driver today? Because the game's getting to Jamie Griffiths. I mean, P20 to P3. You wouldn't think it would. He was at the front all day. He was in P6 by the end of lap 1. It was terrific stuff for him today. But I think, as well, that whole podium had a terrific run today. And I think Jake and Kieran, they'll enjoy watching this race back, because most of the action happened behind them. They weren't really involved in it. It was just sort of those two on their own out there, which is a rare sight for a JACKOCAR race. Yeah,
they were definitely class of the field, and everyone from third down was very much pot luck, wasn't it? Especially with those last couple of laps there. But it's good to have a messed up order, and let's see what that does to the championship. By the way, I think J-Luke will have advanced with Jake. J-Luke advances on points because he gets 11 and he only needed 10, so those two go through to the round of 8.
And so the order then at the end of the Japanese Grand Prix, the first round of the playoffs. It is Jake from Kieran, Jamie, Estimats, Jordan, other Jamie, OKK, Pete, Leroy and Yuri, and then all the penalty shot runners. Well, Yuri was the start of it. Tees, Ben, MK Bourne, Corey, Casper got to the end, Jess as well, and then our retirements of Risky, Iceman, Connor and Gareth, who got disqualified. Amazing he managed to pick up 2 punctures. It's unbelievably unlucky that he picked up even 1, but 2? That instantly beaches your car and you're out of the race. It's as simple as that, nothing you can do about it, especially when they delaminate like that. So that was properly bad luck, but it happens sometimes, I suppose, and it just creates a bit more drama for us, and the drama shall continue next week. We are in Monza. Oh boy. The scene of one of the most dramatic endings to a JACKOCAR race last season, and I absolutely cannot wait to see them going absolutely hell for leather there for another classic, hopefully.
We love Monza, don't we?
Of course, no longer the site of our throwback week, but it doesn't detract from the drama. We always see it all the time at Monza. They always save it to the last lap as well. They're very nice to us. And so, join us there next week. And join, of course, me and Gareth as well for the Kia Series race on Tuesday, and Jacko if he retires again, where we'll be racing at Austria for their regular season finale, which should be very exciting indeed. Jess leading that championship. Could be quite a historic day next Tuesday.
I hear as well 7 drivers are going for the regular season championship as well.
Yeah,
we only had 3 in Cup, but they've got 7.
I know, they've had a properly competitive... I'm kind of a bit annoyed I showed up late to that one, but well, we're here when it matters, And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. So next week should be very exciting for the JACKOCAR League in general, so do be there. And thank you all for watching tonight, of course, and hope you enjoyed, and safe travels.